even cutting down her own minions in the process. However, our boy survives, leaping onto one of the floating cubes and recalling that he has endured this very skill with his own body before. Meanwhile, as the battlefield is reduced to shifting cubes, the other members struggle just to stay upright. One member desperately clings to another who is about to plummet into the abyss. But before they can pull them up, the dice slash severs his arm, sending her tumbling down. As she free falls, still clutching her comrade's severed arm, Kanagi notices them just in time. Without hesitation, he casts a bubble spell, lifting them all to safety. Mage Spirit, growing increasingly worried, turns to Hinoki and asks what they should do next. However, Hinoki simply leaves the decision up to her, telling her to do whatever she wants. She agrees, and just as Eva unleashes Splitting Cloud, a powerful beam blast that engulfs the entire battlefield, even Hibiki, a squad captain, is left stunned by the sheer madness of it. Meanwhile, Eva is thrilled by the capabilities of a founder's body, marveling at how perfectly suited Hinoki's body is for battle. However, despite this, Eva feels the need to use an even stronger skill. Activating Hinoki's secret technique, Indomitable, she prepares to strike, but to her utter shock, Kanagi catches her sword with his bare hand. Hinoki's spirit watches unimpressed, while Mage mockingly claims that even though Eva is using Hinoki's body, he is still weak. Hearing this, Eva shouts in frustration, demanding to know how a founder's legendary body could possibly be considered weak. Desperate for a stronger skill, she frantically searches through Hinoki's memories, trying to extract something more powerful. As she forces his way deeper into Hinoki's mind, her eyes begin to tear up, as if she has just seen something truly terrifying. Eva's tears stem from the overwhelming memory of Hinoki's past, back when he was still alive during the time of the towers. Just witnessing this memory pushes Eva to the brink of madness. In the vision, Hinoki slices through an entire tower with a single swing of his blade. However, despite this awe-inspiring feat, he grows colder and more detached with each passing battle. Eva struggles to comprehend how a mere human's wisdom and skill could reach such an unfathomable level. Hinoki's memories are filled with countless acts of destruction, severing human bodies, cutting down monsters, slicing through the sea itself, and even wounding the planet. The sheer weight of these memories crushes Eva's spirit, leaving her crumbling under the pressure. She desperately wonders where she should go, how she can possibly grow stronger, but the weight of it all is unbearable. Her very soul begins to fracture, feeling as though it's about to shatter into nothingness. Hinoki's spirit, unbothered and relaxed, simply remarks that Eva's spirit should just break apart. However, another founder quickly warns that if it does, it will go berserk, slaughtering everything around it. And to their horror, that is exactly what happens. Eva's spirit shatters. It lets out a piercing scream, so powerful that it is felt even in the distant city of Takasaki. The force of the scream triggers an immediate evacuation, as residents check their phones and discover that the source of the aura is coming from Nagano Prefecture, a staggering 100 kilometers away. Yet, despite the distance, the shockwaves still reach them. Panic spreads as people fear that the end of times has arrived, or that a monstrous entity has emerged. Back on the battlefield, as Eva's scream echoes, the very rocks begin to levitate off the ground. The overwhelming aura crushes down on everyone present, weighing heavily on their shoulders. Weaker members begin coughing violently, their bodies pinned to the ground under the sheer force of it. Kanagi, witnessing this, shouts for Hinoki, but the spirit remains unbothered, still relaxing as if nothing is happening. He simply replies that he has left everything to the mage, and Mage agrees. Meanwhile, as Eva steps toward Kanagi, Mage raises her sleeve, revealing the seal of truth on her arm. With unwavering confidence, she declares that if she must use Kanagi's body, she will end this in just one strike. As she unleashes the seal of truth, Kanagi's body begins radiating with immense energy. Witnessing this, Akane is in complete disbelief. The alchemist's spirit within Kanagi speaks, telling him that he and Akane must watch carefully. He explains that whether it is magic or alchemy, they are the pursuers of truth, and in this moment, Kanagi will reach one of those truths. As he continues speaking, Kanagi's arms become marked with the same seals that Mage once bore. The alchemist's spirit wonders if Kanagi's body can withstand the fragments of truth, or if it will crumble under the weight of such power. Meanwhile, Eva's soul is already shattered into pieces, and the only thing driving her body is the lingering residue of her spirit. Yet the body moves instinctively, as if guided by primal urges, just like a wild animal. Hinoki, who was once mature and composed, abandoned his body to this state long ago, and to describe that phenomenon, they call it truth ignorance. As Eva grows more enraged, she unleashes a surge of dark energy, her aura twisting and distorting the air around her. Mage, witnessing this, foresees a future where the energy becomes so overwhelmingly powerful that it destroys everyone, including Kanagi, and even affects people far across the continent. Eva could very well be the end of the world in that moment. Kanagi, realizing the severity of the situation, recognizes the danger in the vision. Mage then activates one of her skills, Magus of Truth, a technique designed to counter the skills of its target. The technique is so powerful that the world itself can hardly bear its immense force. As Eva loads dark energy into her arm and swings it at Kanagi, he effortlessly stops the attack. To her shock, he grips her hand firmly. In that moment, Mage channels a burning light attack, creating a powerful burst of light between them, engulfing the entire area. As the dust settles, Eva is reduced to nothing more than a charred skeleton, while Kanagi still grips her hand. Mage, using Kanagi's body, calls out a final goodbye to Eva's dying soul as her ashes are swept away by the wind. The other founders watch this with determination, but Hinoki rises, clearly annoyed by the fact that his soul and body are now completely separate entities. Mage smiles and turns toward Kanagi. asking if what he has just witnessed will help him in his training. As Kanagi takes control of his body again, he is shocked to see that the field is clear, with all of his comrades cheering for him, as if he had won against the monster. Ichika, however, is worried that he didn't use his sword at all, making her teachings seem to have had no impact. Hanada sighs in relief, while Suo praises Kanagi, saying that he burned that powerful enemy with just one attack. However, Akane has a deeper insight. She understands that Kanagi completely analyzed his opponent's skills and rendered them useless. This makes Akane's hands tremble, as she wonders if it's even possible for a human to reach that peak. Despite the uncertainty, she gains confidence, motivating herself that she will do the same. The instructor is now worried about the massive hole in the field, as it was only an examination. But things went south quickly and spectacularly. Even Todoroki is dead, which makes the instructor annoyed, knowing that he now has to conduct another exam like this. As the members are gathering themselves, one notices a strange bright circle and becomes terrified. The instructor is also shocked, but to everyone's surprise, it's the superintendent. Kanagi, seeing the superintendent, remembers that it's the old lady from his consciousness earlier. The lady's assistant, who is with the superintendent, is also a bit confused about why she's there. However, superintendent suddenly kneels in front of Kanagi, claiming that she has been waiting for his return. She says that she has waited hundreds of years for the founders, and now they are finally in front of her. Suo and the others turn to Ichika for answers, but she simply states that they should have known, though this might be their first time seeing her. According to Ichika, the old lady is one of the founders of the anti-prophecy and holds the highest rank in the Japanese branch. Suo, frustrated, exclaims that they already know that. But what's truly confusing is why she is kneeling before Kanagi. Ichika admits she doesn't know either. Meanwhile, Kanagi is just as bewildered, wondering why the old woman from earlier is bowing before him like that. The founders within him are also deep in thought, trying to recall what's really going on, but they can't seem to find the answer. Suddenly, Kanagi is struck with shock as he senses her overwhelming aura. The old lady stands up and asks if Kanagi remembers her, remarking that she has grown old. To make things clear, she turns around and starts shaking her back, calling out to Hinoki to witness her performing the waist dance. All the founders are confused, but suddenly they realize that the old woman is Io. Hinoki quickly asks Kanagi to switch with him, and as he does, he greets her. This shocks everyone around, and the assistants immediately take an offensive stance, seeing it as disrespectful behavior toward their superintendent. Enraged, they declare their intent to kill Kanagi and redo the examination. However, Io, still dancing with Hinoki, tells them to stand down, assuring them that it's fine. Hinoki playfully rubs Io's head, joking that she has already become a granny. Hearing him speak, Io suddenly remembers that he used to talk the same way in the past when she was with them. After a while, all the members begin repairing the training grounds and gathering themselves. Meanwhile, deep within the anti-prophecy, at a top-secret location known as the Hut of Everlasting Vision, Kanagi is stunned by the sight of its garden. Io explains that, since she cannot reveal her appearance often, a barrier is normally set around the place, so she can live there undisturbed. Kanagi asks if she knows all the founders, to which Io begins to explain her story. She reveals that she was an orphan, having lost her family during the era of the towers. The founders saved her and raised her. Kanagi is shocked to realize that she was just a child during that time. When Io mentions that it was 300 years ago, he is even more stunned, realizing that she is over 300 years old. She then reveals that she has been able to stop time using an artifact that freezes time as long as she remains inside the headquarters. Hearing about the artifact, Kanagi suddenly remembers them. Meanwhile, Hinoki's spirit explains to Valentine that the artifact functions similarly to her preservation skill. Valentine agrees, stating that in her prime, she could have achieved the same feat with her skill. However, she wonders where Io obtained such a powerful artifact. Io explains that within the anti-prophecy, there is a secret division tasked with collecting artifacts, and their existence is kept hidden. However, she reveals that the facility storing these artifacts was recently attacked, resulting in the loss of a large number of them. In response, a special task force, including Midori, was formed to reclaim the stolen artifacts. The detective founder within Kanagi wonders if the attack was carried out by the 10 apostles, which would explain why they are so powerful in the modern era. Kanagi is shocked at how quickly the detective deduced that from such a brief conversation. The detective then reveals that when Eva mentioned her boss as the one who provided her artifacts, he looked into her memory and confirmed it. Another founder explains that instead of recruiting 12 awakeners stronger than Makoto, it would be much easier for the enemy to use artifacts to enhance mediocre awakeners. Hinoki agrees, noting that the two enemies they previously encountered were not as strong as Makoto. Io also agrees, stating that they were unaware of the 12 apostles' existence until they raided the facility. She explains that the apostles now possess the same power as the anti-prophecy's greatest enemy, making them too dangerous to ignore. She adds that they are doing their best to track down their leader, but it seems that Midori will reach them first. This shocks Kanagi. Meanwhile, in Detroit, Michigan, the streets are eerily empty. In an area that looks like a battleground, a turbulence spell suddenly creates a tornado, slamming into the ground with immense force. At the center of it all is Midori, who has just made a shocking discovery. They had assumed the 12 apostles consisted of 12 individuals, but there is also a 13th member. Watching him through an orb, a man lounging on his couch smirks, impressed that Midori has arrived earlier than expected. With a sinister tone, he casually asks whether Midori prefers a cup of coffee or black tea. Without hesitation, Midori chooses him to die, calling him by his true title, Number 0. Midori launches another turbulence beam toward the floating Number 0. The beam is so massive that, far away, another member of the special task force, Nishina, notices it. Mikado, who is also with him, remarks that the city is already abandoned, so they should be fine, but he is puzzled as to why Midori is using such a powerful attack. As they discuss, they suddenly sense a strong attack coming their way. Just in time, they leap off the building, which is instantly sliced in half. The structure completely shatters into pieces. Landing on the ground, they decide to leave number 0 to Midori, while they focus on handling Kamaragi, one of the 12 apostles. Meanwhile, Midori grows frustrated, unable to pierce the bubble surrounding number 0, even after using his strongest wind attacks. He wonders if it's the effect of a skill, or perhaps an artifact. Finishing his tea, number 0 steps out of the bubble himself, mocking Midori and asking if he's done. Without hesitation, Midori instantly casts Wall of Cutting Pearls, launching massive rocks toward number 0, triggering a devastating explosion. However, to his shock, number 0 emerges unscathed, casually comparing himself to a whale among fish in front of Midori. Midori quickly realizes that number 0 has other means of defense, even without the protective bubble. Seeing Midori standing before him, number 0 begins to taunt him. He claims that under normal circumstances, Midori would be so powerful and terrifying that he wouldn't even consider him an enemy. Yet now Midori is grieving the death of his friend. To number 0, this makes him a pathetic creature. He goes on to say that from the moment Midori was born, he was nothing more than a monster designed for battle. And yet, despite being made for war, he still failed to protect his precious friends. These words ignite a deep fury within Midori. Enraged, he lunges at number 0 with overwhelming power, his eyes burning with killing intent as memories of the past flood his mind. Memories of what happened 23 years ago. At that time, deep in the mountains, Shinonome, a special task force member, stood in shock, staring at a brilliant surge of energy erupting from a massive crater. Yelling in disbelief, he realized that this was all that remained of the Midori family mansion. Superintendent Io is also there, witnessing the remains of the destroyed mansion. At the center of the devastation, something emits a tremendous amount of energy. As she steps closer, she realizes the source. It's a baby, radiating an overwhelming aura. The intensity of the energy makes them believe that the entire disaster was caused by this child's birth. Without hesitation, Superintendent Io rushes toward the baby, enduring multiple cuts on her body due to the sheer energy pressure surrounding it. Despite the pain, she pushes forward, finally reaching the child. She gently picks up the baby, whispering words of comfort, assuring it that everything is fine now. Feeling the warmth of Io's embrace, the baby slowly stops crying. As a result, the violent surge of wind around them dissipates, revealing Io, bruised and bloodied, yet firmly holding the child in her arms. She declares that this child will be raised by the anti-prophecy. Later, the baby is given a name, Midori. 9 years pass, and Midori, now a young boy, is preparing to leave the facility. A teacher named Hinoki Hiaradu, along with a 12-year-old Ichika, tries to stop him, warning him not to cause any trouble. The man warns Midori that if he goes through with this, the anti-prophecy will hunt him down. Unfazed, Midori agrees, but as the master turns away, he cryptically states that this was the very reason he let Midori live. Ichika, standing nearby, feels the tension in the air but suddenly starts laughing. The master, annoyed, questions why she's doing that. Midori has always been exceptionally strong, breaking every record and considering everyone else weak in comparison. However, one day he meets Makoto, who casually tosses a wooden stick toward him and asks if he wants to be his partner for sword training. Midori is confused, but Makoto simply smiles and holds his sword forward in invitation. At that time, Makoto was the same age as Midori. With that, they begin training together, but Midori was unable to defeat Makoto in sword fighting. It annoyed him, but he kept trying, constantly asking Makoto to spar with him one more time. Makoto, wanting Midori to learn his lesson, fights him again, and the result is the same. Midori loses. Frustrated, he yells, demanding to know why he can't win despite trying his hardest. Nishina, who is also present, reveals that Midori is too strong, which might be the reason. Midori doesn't understand what he means, as he is always losing to Makoto. A voice from outside chimes in, saying that it's a compliment for Midori. The voice belongs to Mikado, who at the time was 14 years old. Midori keeps breaking his wooden swords while fighting Makoto, so Mikado explains that even if Midori wins, he will still break his sword in the process. To illustrate the point, Nishina shows him an egg, explaining that when someone exerts their full power, it's difficult not to break the eggshell while holding it during a fight. Midori remains confused, so Mikado picks up the egg and throws it with full force. However, he gets shocked to see that despite hitting the ground, the eggshell doesn't even crack. Picking up the egg, Mikado explains that Midori just needs to balance his offensive aura with the aura that protects the shell, and it's not a skill, but something that comes with time. While he is explaining, Nishina throws all the eggs at the wall, and even after hitting it, none of them break. Midori is amazed, seeing that not a single eggshell shatters. Mikado hands an egg to Midori and explains that if he wants to win against Makoto in swordsmanship, he needs to adjust his aura. Once he does that, even with his overwhelming aura, he won't hurt anyone around him. As Mikado starts to leave, Makoto calls him out but is hit by an egg on the head. Makoto turns and sees it was Midori, who wants him to join him in the training for aura adjustment. Makoto, returning the favor, asks him to apologize to him first. He then kicks the egg crate and uses his power to make them levitate. However, when Midori tries the same, all the eggs explode or shatter around him. However, after trying for a while, Midori manages to create a hole in the wall with the egg, and it doesn't even break the eggshell. They both then start training in swordsmanship, and now that Midori knows how to control his aura, they can spend a whole day sending blows at each other. Seeing this, Nishina and Mikado are also excited and ask him to fight them next. 4 years later, Midori is taken into the special task force, and Makoto leaves for his own ventures. Midori is heading towards a prophecy to support the European branch, as he heard there is a special rank prophecy called the Pandemonium. Midori then asks if Makoto is still looking for a swordmaster to teach him. Makoto confirms it, reminding Midori of his own words about finding a master by himself. Makoto puts his fist forward, claiming that he wants to stand equally with him. Midori, with a smile, fist bumps him, revealing that he will be waiting for him. After that, Midori does everything for his friends. As long as they are alive, Midori has the determination to keep doing what he's doing for their sake. He just wanted friends, but the 12 apostles took that away from him. Coming back to the present, remembering all that, Midori charges toward number 0 with full-on killing intent while the guy stands there nonchalantly. However, just as he is about to strike, number 0 pulls out a golden egg artifact and breaks it in front of him. It unleashes a berserk life stampede spell, creating a massive sunlight glow between them. Other special task force members also notice it and wonder if Midori did it. As the glow lightens a bit, they see Midori emerge from it, radiating a strange yet powerful aura. Seeing Midori, Makoto asks if he has already defeated number 0. However, Midori doesn't say a word. They call out to him, but to their shock, Midori reveals that he doesn't know them. Nishina instantly realizes something worse has happened and yells at Makoto to back off. But it's already too late, as Midori has his hand on Makoto's forehead. With an evil smile, he uses the turbulence spell, creating a strong whirlwind. After the 3 members of the Special Force Japanese branch go missing, another special task force from the USA branch, including Marquise and Ashton, is sent to investigate the matter. Upon arriving, Ashton touches the ground and realizes that the residual energy in the area is extremely strong, indicating that it was the epicenter of an explosion. Marquis is amazed by the size of the crater Midori created and understands why he is called the world's strongest man. However, he is confused about why someone as powerful as Midori suddenly disappeared along with his team. Ashton also has no explanation for their disappearance. The news of Midori's disappearance reaches the Japanese branch, causing the situation to descend into chaos. At the Everlasting Vision Hut, the assistant superintendent grows nervous upon hearing the reports and struggles to believe the news. Io, equally worried, asks if there is truly no information about Midori's whereabouts. She questions Midori's assistant Rin, but even Rin is unaware, as the artifact that connected her to Midori has been destroyed. Io finds the situation deeply unfortunate. As they discuss the matter, Kanagi arrives, now officially a squad captain, wearing the captain's cape. He feels slightly embarrassed about his new role, but the assistant superintendent reveals that his promotion came from the unanimous recommendation of all the other squad captains and the superintendent himself. Kanagi had even fought Eva, leading everyone to believe he is the only one capable of filling the gap left by Makoto. Kneeling down, Kanagi recalls his vow to surpass the founders as soon as possible and to prevent any further deaths. He thanks them for their trust and, with the founders' legacy behind him, confidently declares that he will do his best to meet the expectations of the anti-prophecy. Hearing this, Io becomes excited, claiming that she always believed he was the best-suited candidate for the captaincy. However, she suddenly grows serious and gets straight to the point, asking for his opinion on a pressing matter. A while back, Kanagi, who had been pursuing members of the anti-prophecy to offer them positions in his squad, now finds himself sitting in front of the superintendent, being asked for his opinion. The situation feels like it has escalated quickly. As the superintendent speaks, a door suddenly materializes behind Io, adorned with a tiger drawing. The sudden appearance shocks Kanagi, and as the door opens, Io introduces 2 members of the special task force, Nishina and Makoto, both in a severely beaten-up state. Io reveals that Nishina and Makoto were part of the same special task force as Midori, and are the only ones who know what truly happened. Makoto begins to explain that while in Detroit, Midori's body was taken over by the leader of the 12 apostles. This revelation leaves Kanagi utterly stunned. Makoto continues, stating that the ability used to control Midori seems similar to the one Eva had previously employed. He speculates that it is likely caused by an artifact, though the specifics of the artifact are not important at the moment. The critical point, Makoto emphasizes, is that Midori, once a protector of his friends, has now been turned into an enemy of humanity. This horrifying reality shakes Kanagi to his core. Makoto adds that Midori resisted the control as much as he could, buying time for Nishina and Makoto to escape. Before fully succumbing, Midori apologized and made a final request. He asked Kanagi to defeat number 0 on his behalf. Hearing this, Kanagi is left speechless, overwhelmed by the weight of Midori's words. The assistant superintendent places a hand on Kanagi's shoulder, expressing his high hopes for him. However, he reminds Kanagi that he still hasn't met the minimum requirement of 7 members for his squad. Currently, Kanagi has Honda, Akane, and Suo, but he needs to quickly recruit 3 more members. This, the assistant superintendent states, is Kanagi's immediate task. Hearing the urgent need to recruit more members for his squad, Kanagi rushes out to find suitable candidates. He spots a young boy from the Hibiki squad and immediately begins chasing him, pleading for him to join his team. The boy, however, is visibly nervous and runs around in a panic, shouting that he will never leave the Hibiki squad under any circumstances. Just as the boy thinks he's escaped, he comes face to face with Akane, who is standing calmly in his path, holding a permission letter signed by Hibiki himself. The boy is stunned, unable to believe that his captain, Hibiki, would allow him to leave. However, after reading the letter, his disbelief turns to shock as he realizes it's genuine. Reluctantly, he agrees to join Kanagi's squad. With this, Kanagi and Akane successfully secure their 4th member. Meanwhile, outside, Hanada is attempting to recruit Akihina for the squad. His approach, however, is anything but conventional. He performs a strange, exaggerated leg-stomping gesture as an invitation, which Akihina finds utterly bizarre. Hanada insists it's an order from the captain and declares that he wants Akihina on their team. Akihina, however, refuses outright, explaining that his goal is to participate in the next captain's exam, as a position has opened up following Todoroki's death. Undeterred by the rejection, Hanada suddenly launches a powerful kick toward Akihina, testing his reflexes. To Hanada's surprise, Akihina effortlessly dodges the attack, showcasing his unique evasion skills. Impressed but not defeated, Hanada presses on. Akihina, now intrigued, proposes a challenge. He agrees to join the squad on one condition: Hanada must land a single touch on him within 60 seconds in the courtyard. If Hanada succeeds, Akihina will gladly join their team. Hanada confirms if he can use any means necessary to achieve this, and upon receiving Akihina's approval, he summons the glowing dragon around himself, determined to win the challenge. Akihina starts the timer on his laptop. Somewhere inside the limestone cave of the anti-prophecy unit, Akihina meets Captain Tsurukai, who appears to be fishing in a 17th dimensional crack called the Underjaw. Tsurukai reveals that sometimes he catches big fish there. Noticing Akihina, he asks if he is applying for the replacement exam for the Todoroki squad. Akihina confirms it but states that he wants to be a captain who doesn't want to die. Tsurukai responds by telling him that his goal is still achievable without even becoming a captain. This shocks Akihina, who asks if the captain thinks he's not suitable. Tsurukai, reeling in a monster shark, claims that he believes Akihina is lacking something. Coming back to the present, Hanada is charging at Akihina, who is trying to avoid any physical contact. Despite getting inches close to him, Hanada isn't able to touch Akihina even once. Hanada is amazed, realizing that Akihina is using some kind of evasive skill to dodge his attacks. Akihina is using Omni-Egos, a skill he has tried to hide from everyone for a long time. His Omni-Egos allows him to teleport to a designated location within a 100-meter range. Although he needs to visit the target location at least once before the skill can be used, once it's set, he can teleport there with fast and high precision. Despite Hanada sending blow after blow, Akihina manages to dodge every single one using his skill. This proves challenging for Hanada, but he takes it as practice, knowing that in the future, he'll have to fight against Midori. While teleporting around and evading blows, Akihina asks Hanada what kind of redeeming quality he sees in Kanagi. Hanada, continuing his attacks, reveals that he doesn't know anything specific. He flies into a kick toward Akihina and admits that he knows about Akihina's ideal squad captain image, to increase his squad's survivability by 1%. Hanada finds this admirable, but claims that he wouldn't put his life in the hands of a captain who prioritizes the chance of survival over everything else. This comment annoys Akihina, but Hanada explains that if someone always thinks about themselves, they won't be able to achieve the goals they're meant to. As he says this, Hanada recalls his childhood when he saw his family's bodies lying around, killed by a prophecy. This event instilled in him the determination to shut down all prophecies. With that motive, he finally understood that Kanagi has the capability to do just that, which is why he decided to become his subordinate. Hearing this, Akihina realizes what he's lacking to be a captain: the ability to be relied on by others. As he focuses back on dodging, he knows he's winning the fight and hopes to use this conversation as a reference in the future. With the countdown at 5 seconds, Hanada starts messaging someone on his phone, claiming that someone is just on time. Akihina is confused when suddenly Suo, using his calendula spell combined with Skyfall, strikes from above, destroying the entire courtyard where they were standing. This completely removes Akihina's ability to teleport, and Hanada seizes the opportunity. He leaps off the building and uses a flash kick to tear off a piece of Akihina's clothing. The clock hits 0, but tearing off the cloth counts as a touch, making Hanada the victor. He lands down while Suo asks if destroying the entire courtyard was worth it. Hanada brushes it off, praising Suo for his help. Meanwhile, in the background, Akihina is furious, but after typing something on his laptop, he calms down and agrees to join Kanagi's squad. Hearing this, Hanada and Suo high-five, while Kanagi and Akane bring in another member, Iryu, who is chained up. Kanagi, noticing the destroyed courtyard, is in shock, but Suo reveals that he's counting on Kanagi to write an apology letter for the damage. Hanada tries to calm everyone down, suggesting that Rin could fix the courtyard, but the main problem is that they still need one more person for their team. Akane doesn't know anyone else and asks if Kanagi has any recommendations. Kanagi points toward the Special Task Force members, Ichika, Mikado, and Nishina, and reveals that he has already accepted them into his squad. From that day on, they are temporarily Kanagi's subordinates and will fight in his squad. Somewhere else, at the Watchtower, the remaining members of the 12 Apostles of the Apocalypse hold a meeting. Only 5 of them are left, but they are confident because they have the world's most powerful weapon, Midori's body. To them, it seems like they are one step closer to wiping out the anti-prophecy unit. Number 0 reminds everyone of their motto: everything they do is for the sake of the emergence of prophecy in this world. Inside the prophecy research room of the anti-prophecy, the assistant superintendent asks the director if he has obtained what was requested. The director confirms and reveals that the Book of Doom, once possessed by the 12 Apostles, is actually a single book torn apart. Based on the 8 books that Midori brought, they determine that the recent incident is part of the prophecy, specifically one concerning a special rank called Bhagavad Gita. According to him, in order to destroy the world, the 12 Apostles need Midori's power, which alone is sufficient. Meanwhile, over the sea, Midori and Hajime, a member of the 12 Apostles, are flying toward an unknown destination. Out of nowhere, Midori asks Hajime if he has ever read the Gita, to which Hajime denies. Midori explains that it is one of the Hindu scriptures, emphasizing that humans should fulfill their duties with a selfless heart. According to Midori, whoever wrote a prophecy like the one currently unfolding likely harbored a deep hatred for humanity. As they fly over New York's Times Square, a family notices them, and a child excitedly recognizes Midori as the world's strongest awakener. The crowd quickly follows suit, cheering and clamoring for pictures. They also notice Hajime referring to him as a samurai. As the gathering swells with excitement at the sight of their heroes, Midori gives Hajime the order to begin their mission. Without hesitation, Midori starts channeling an energy ball in his hand, while the crowd continues to cheer, unaware of what is about to unfold. As a father captures a picture of his child with Midori in the background, Midori suddenly unleashes the energy ball into the air, engulfing the sky completely. The ball transforms into a massive tornado, and from within it, the real Midori desperately yells at Number Zero to stop. However, it is already too late. Number Zero has already cast the spell Turbulence upon them. At the cafeteria of Anti-Prophecy, Kanagi is busy lecturing when Suo rushes toward him, urgently showing him something on his mobile. It is breaking news. New York is burning like hell due to Midori's attack. The report claims that an awakener has attacked and destroyed the city. Meanwhile, at the Everlasting Hut, the American branch superintendent, Vice, is screaming at Io to do something. Furious that Midori has just erased an entire city, Io tries to calm him down, but the tragedy has taken countless lives in the heart of the world's economy, New York. She reveals that it is not Midori who caused the destruction, but rather the leader of the 12 Apostles, who is controlling his body. She further explains that they have already identified him as Warren Hastings, an Englishman. She speculates that he might be working alongside invaders from another dimension. Vice is shocked by the revelation, while Io discloses that the 12 Apostles are using artifacts that are not under the supervision of Anti-Prophecy. According to her, someone or something is supporting them. Despite hearing her reasoning, Vice argues that the responsibility still falls on Io, as the man who destroyed an entire city came from their special task force. He warns her that the White House is even considering using nuclear weapons against Midori. However, Vice knows that even nuclear weapons won't have any effect on Midori and asks Io what she plans to do. Back at the cafeteria, Kanagi asks Suo if he has completed Lesson 15 along with the others. Suo confirms, but to his shock, Kanagi appoints him as the vice captain of the Kanagi squad. He then orders him to instruct everyone to continue their lessons until they receive deployment orders. He suggests that Irian and Akihina always argue, so they need to focus on teamwork to achieve perfection. Suo wonders what Kanagi himself will be doing in his free time, to which Kanagi reveals that he will be sleeping, and this time, it will be a deep sleep. He orders Suo not to allow anyone to wake him up, and since it is Kanagi's command, Suo accepts the order, placing his trust in him. Back at the Everlasting Hut, Io reveals that she is planning to face Midori and the others head-on with their strongest elite unit squad. At headquarters, Kanagi reaches his room and instantly falls asleep. In his dreams, he takes out his sword and begins practicing with Hinoki, while all the other founders stand ready to teach him. However, to Kanagi's shock, Hinoki instantly slashes him into pieces in a flash. He regenerates immediately, only for Hinoki to cut him apart again. Hinoki reminds Kanagi that it was he who insisted on not holding back in training, so now, he will devour him. Saying this, he charges at Kanagi with full force. Another founder tries to intervene, but Wantak and Mage stop him. Other founders argue that while short-term training might require such extreme measures, Kanagi is dying too frequently, and his soul may soon be dispersed. However, they all understand that Midori is the strongest awakener of this era, and the current Kanagi stands no chance against him. It may be a desperate training method, but it is the only path to victory. The founder from earlier warns that there may still be a limit to how much Kanagi can endure, but the alchemist reassures her, stating that there is no need to worry. Kanagi is not a delicate man. Mage, witnessing Kanagi being sliced apart again and again, still believes that he will overcome this. Kanagi apologizes to Hinoki, feeling immense pressure just standing in front of him. It feels as if he has been thrown into a blizzard atop a frozen mountain. Regaining his breath, Kanagi stands against Hinoki once more, only to be slashed in half instantly. However, to his surprise, he manages to cut a single strand of hair from Hinoki's head. Before, he couldn't even reach a single hair, but now he has managed to do so. Despite being killed countless times, Kanagi remains determined to grow stronger. He rises again and again. Meanwhile, in Mumbai, at the gateway of India, Aradib of the Indian branch of Anti-Prophecy's Special Task Force becomes excited upon seeing Midori there. He reminds Midori that without him, the special rank Prophecy Blazing Fire boss would have turned Mumbai into charcoal. With a smile, he asks if, despite them once protecting the city together, Midori is now here to destroy it. Midori dismisses his words as futile, stating that while it is his body, it is being controlled by Number Zero. Mocking Aradib, Number Zero sneers at the idea that Midori could regain control. To toy with him further, he delivers Midori's entrapped thoughts directly from his mind, Midori's voice, apologizing and urging Aradib to run. However, Aradib refuses to flee. This is his hometown, and he is prepared to fight until his last breath. At the Everlasting Hut, Io explains the century-old war between humankind and the beings from another dimension to the superintendent's assistants. During the era of the Founders, it was the Tower that first appeared, followed by the Crack and the Prophecies. Throughout the long history of war, there have always been humans who collaborated with these beings to destroy the world. As she explains, one of the assistants, watching the news of India's fall, becomes alarmed, realizing that the enemy now seems to be heading toward Europe. Io expected this, but remarks that it would have been preferable if they had gone straight to Japan instead. When the assistant asks why, she reveals that since Number Zero only recently took control of Midori's body, he shouldn't be able to fully harness its power yet. Furthermore, he is in a situation where the more he fights, the stronger he becomes. Saying this, she instructs the assistant to summon all the captains. She then turns to Tengen, the male assistant, and informs him that he will also be sent to the battlefield. Tengen responds with a joke about how they only use him for labor during peacetime. However, the real shock comes when Io announces that she will personally join the fight as well. Meanwhile, the Kanagi squad is in the final stages of preparation. They are the only real hope of defeating Midori, but until they are fully ready, Io orders the other squads to delay him. Hibiki and the other squad captains, visibly tense, ask how long the preparation will take. Io reveals that, according to Kanagi, he needs 2 days. She then declares their destination, the Pacific Ocean, where they will attempt to stop Midori. There, the entire Japanese branch of anti-prophecy gathers, preparing for battle. As Midori charges toward them, he casts his powerful turbulent spell directly at them. However, it is stopped in its tracks by Io's own defensive spell. Midori, visibly surprised, narrows his eyes, while Io smirks and mocks him not to underestimate them. A while back, as the captains were heading to the ocean to fight Midori, Hisagi and her squad members ran to their captain, pleading to be taken along to face the leader of the 12 apostles. The captain refuses, but Hisagi, tearing up, insists that even if they can't make a significant impact, they can at least serve as shields to protect the captains. The captain, along with the others, turns to face them and asks if they understand why the captains have chosen to participate in such an unreasonable battle. He explains that even though they know they won't return, as the power levels are vastly different, they still hold on to the hope that their subordinates will survive and carry on the fight. The captains place their trust in their subordinates, believing that they will take on the responsibility of protecting the world. Saying this, the captains leave, leaving their subordinates behind. While some break into tears, others steel their resolve, determined to protect the Kanagi squad until their preparation is complete. Even though their eyes are filled with sorrow, they know they must act instead of merely crying. And they must act quickly. The squad captains, along with the superintendents and assistants, teleport to the ocean, where they now stand face to face with Midori. As Io effortlessly blocks Midori's turbulent spell, the other captains watch in amazement at her immense power. Midori too is taken aback by this unknown ability. Number 0, reading through Midori's memories, recognizes Io as the superintendent of anti-prophecy, a mother figure to Midori, who has always kept her true strength hidden. Io, standing before him, declares that this is the first time in 100 years she has used her abilities on the battlefield. None of the captains have ever seen her unleash her full power before, but now, before their eyes, she activates her 8 Eta mirror spell. This spell has 2 stages. The first stage allows Io to completely nullify any ability as long as she understands its effects, granting her a 100% defense rate. The nature of this ability is a direct countermeasure, combining perfectly with a mage's advanced analytical skills. Wasting no time, Midori follows up with his blazing turbulent spell, unleashing a barrage of powerful tornadoes toward Io. Seeing them, the captains realize that this is the same skill that burned all of India to the ground. However, to their fortune, Io knows this ability and effortlessly deflects it. The second stage of her skill allows her to copy an ability once she has reflected it in the first stage. As she sends her own tornadoes, they collide with Midori's and completely destroy them. Midori, now focusing on the battle, understands how her skill works, but grows annoyed as he senses someone trying to attack him from the side. One of the captains launches his infinite fist attack, bombarding Midori with a barrage of punches. Each time a punch lands, Midori feels his body growing numb. However, despite delivering countless blows, the captain is shocked to see that Midori remains unfazed. Suddenly, the captain grabs Midori in midair and signals the others to attack while he restrains him. Hibiki instantly activates her sound visualization release, Phoenix, while the other captains follow up with their own powerful abilities, striking Midori all at once. However, Midori counters them with his Wall of Cutting Pearls spell, generating a massive blast of tornadoes that crash into all the captains. As the smoke clears, Midori emerges unscathed, mocking Io for bringing weaklings to fight him. But just as he speaks, he senses a powerful aura above him. Looking up, he sees the superintendent's assistant summoning a massive sun-sized energy ball, preparing to unleash it upon him. Midori immediately realizes that this ability grows stronger the longer it is channeled. As he attempts to summon his own energy ball to counter it, the female assistant uses her slave maker spell, shackling his hand. Midori is stunned. He hadn't expected them to have an Warp Awakener. Now trapped in the shackles, he is unable to cast his spells. Meanwhile, the male assistant finishes channeling and hurls the massive fiery sphere toward the immobilized Midori. Seeing the attack closing in, Midori realizes he can't dodge it. However, if he unleashes his most powerful wind-based attack at the last moment, he might be able to lessen its impact. But just as he processes this plan, he notices another identical fireball coming from the opposite side, created by Io using her mirror spell. Both fireballs collide, erupting in a massive explosion, engulfing Midori in the fiery blast.
Our video ends here. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, bye bye.